evening. It's July 6th, 2020. Welcome to the Mount Clemens City Commission meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Under God, indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Campbell.
Here.
Fournier.
Here.
Hammond.
Here.
Prop.
Here.
Menser.
Here.
Voorhees.
Here.
Thank you. Agenda item 4, announcements, acknowledgements, communications, and reports. We have an audit response.
We do.
Go ahead, City Manager Johnson.
Well, I'm going to call on Mr. Mason in just a second, but you'll recall at the last meeting, questions came up regarding the auditor's comments and the fact that no response had been provided to the City Commission, no update on progress on meeting those comments had been provided to the City Commission previously. So I asked Mr. Mason to prepare one. It's before you, and Cliff's online to talk about it.
Very good. Mr. Mason. Oh, he's not there anymore.
Did we lose him? Okay, I can read it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
All right. He must have forgot this was here, thought he was done. We basically had comments about year-end closing adjustments, segregation of duties, and bank statement reconciliations. Presently, I'm pleased to state that all 3 of the noted deficiencies have been reviewed and corrected, were deemed reasonable and necessary. I'm reading Cliff, and I'm quoting Cliff, so when I say I, it's I, Cliff, not I, Don. Year-end adjustments for 2020 are already being reviewed, and the closing journal entries that will have to be made to accurately state the city's financial condition will be made. The material issues that were encountered in the closing of records as of 6/30/19 have been corrected. The revamping of duties and responsibilities within the office has enabled staff to notice errors and/or oversights that previously went undetected until the audit had commenced. Now, I will add that that doesn't mean that they've necessarily found absolutely everything, but they're in much better shape than they were a year ago. His second one is with regard to segregation of duties. He notes that this is extremely difficult when you have a small staff. And I will add this was a problem for units much larger than Mount Clemens as well. This was a comment I got every year in Royal Oak, and we were not able to address it to the satisfaction of the auditors without increasing staff, and we had a lot more staff than Mount Clemens has. Cliff goes on to state that currently none of the personnel have previous government accounting backgrounds, and at the same time you depend on the staff to be able to step in and assist one another when needed. He's made cross-training a priority. Previously, it appears in-house training was not required or made available. Consequently, the staff had minimal knowledge of how the department functioned as a whole. Progress has been made in this area. Substantial progress has been made in this area, noticeably in the treasurer's office, and the growth made by the assistant treasurer has been significant. Whenever possible, Cliff will spend appropriate time with employees to make sure they understand the process and how their function and assignment integrates into the accounting system. He likes to highlight the team aspect. Lastly, Cliff has no rational response as to why bank statements were never timely reconciled in prior years. Sadly, it created a lot of other accounting problems. At this time, the statements are reconciled, reviewed, and corrections made within 72 hours at the end of the month. Since the city has adopted a pooled cash concept, it's extremely important not only to reconcile the statements, but to be assured that each fund's cash position is correct. My assistant works closely with the treasurer staff to be confident all city cash is deposited into the proper fund and that all month-end cash balances are correctly stated. He further notes that he substantially reduced the hours of assistance that we're receiving from Plant Moran's consulting group, as necessary corrections and training sessions have been made in the department. However, he still requires minimal outside professional help in completing the numerous audit schedules, which is now up to over 90 work papers he has to prepare for the audit, and numerous mandated outside reporting documents. In addition, he also requested assistance from Plant Moran with office training, which over time will reduce our dependency on their personnel. It should be noted that when we're talking about the Plant Moran Consulting Group, that is a different division within Plant Moran than the people who do the audits. For fiscal 2021, it was Cliff's intention to allow 2 staff members to attend several days of advanced training in government accounting. However, because of COVID-19, these workshops have been canceled until some future date. Lastly, even though Mount Clemens may be considered a small city, it has numerous more accounting issues than many of its surrounding neighbors. With several different tax abatement programs, including pilots, a TIFA, and a DDA, there is much to comprehend and significantly more detail to address. As mentioned earlier, without the funds to hire and retain individuals with experienced governmental background, it's imperative that we constantly train and incorporate a team approach to perform the duties and expectations required of the staff. And that was submitted by Cliff Mason and approved by me.
I have a comment. First of all, I would like to congratulate Mary Ann Ross and Lori Holland for doing an excellent job without the proper training. They've taken their jobs and excelled at them and showed their loyalty to the city. I think the cross training is an excellent idea. I really wish it would have happened before. And if it had happened before, we might have had some of these fiscal issues like a year-end closing adjustments and bank statement reconciliations done a little bit more timely. But I think we really have to applaud the staff, the accounting staff, because as it states here, and as you said, none of our personnel have government accounting backgrounds, yet they have worked hard to do their jobs in the right way. And I really think that we have to acknowledge that, and especially those two. Thank you.
Laura, you're on mute.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to comment about the audit response? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Are there any other announcements, acknowledgements, communications, and reports? Hearing none. Adoption of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Support. Moved by Commissioner Voorhees, supported by Commissioner Hammond.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Campbell.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Moving on to public participation. This is the portion of the meeting where the public is allowed to comment. What we ask, because this is a Zoom meeting, is for everyone to give us their first name, and then we will compile a list of those who would like to speak. We ask at that time when your name is called that you abide by our 3-minute rule. We also ask for your full name and your address, your current address. Do we have anyone who would like to speak today online right now? I need your first name. Okay, hearing none. Oh, do I have anybody? Okay, hearing none. We will move on to agenda item 7, administrative responses to issues or questions raised during previous meetings. We have a 252 North Wilson status report. City Manager Johnson.
Yes, there were 2 public comments at the last meeting that required a response. The first one relates to 252 North Wilson. This was prepared by Community Development Director Brian Tingley, and I believe he's online, so I'm going to let him read that.
Sure. Thank you, Don. At the June 15th, 2020 commission meeting, a resident inquired what the status of 252 North Wilson. After following proper notice procedures, the city had a contractor remove several junk items from the property in October of 2019, and subsequently the owner was billed approximately $270. The city had the owner in district court in January of this year for failure to register as a vacant property. It was subsequently registered and is currently up to date on that registration. A 10-day violation notice for blight was issued on June 3rd of this year. That was followed up with a second 10-day violation notice for blight on June 16th. And we do have an inspection scheduled this week, July 8th. The city's next course of action would be to have a contractor remove any junk items and or transfer the case to district court so that a court summons could be issued. The property was also placed on the city's weed cut list on June 3rd of this year so that it could be mowed by the city's contractor. Since that time, neighboring property owners have helped mow and maintain the grass, so the city's contractor has not cut it. In 2019, our contractor did mow this property on 5 separate occasions. Also following the June 15th city commission meeting, staff did make contact with the resident who spoke during public comment and discussed the status of the property, both over the phone and in person. And since then, staff has had regular communication with this resident who has been helpful in assisting us with updates.
Laura, you're on mute.
Sorry, I'm trying to avoid the background noise. Thank you for the response, Mr. Tingley. Can we have the parking on Harrington Street response, please?
Yes, thank you. Also, at the last meeting, a resident asked the commission to consider allowing on-street parking on Harrington by the hospital. While the road is wide enough to allow for parking on one side of the street if it was restriped, we do not recommend doing so. It's a busy street, and parallel parking would disrupt traffic flow and result in more accidents. We can find no record that indicated parking was ever allowed there. And also, I think it hasn't been a big issue here yet, but it was certainly a big issue in my last city, is that it would be a much better use of that lane if we were to restripe it to use it as bicycle lane rather than for parking. If the commission does want to consider allowing street parking in this location, we would recommend that a traffic study be commissioned first.
Okay, does anyone have any questions regarding those responses?
Yes, I do.
I'm sorry, the public can't speak at this time of the meeting. There is a portion of that at the end of the meeting, though, that the public has another opportunity to do that. Agenda, hearing no other questions. Hearing no other questions, we will move on to approval of minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes for our city commission meeting on Monday, June 15th, 2020.
Moved by Commissioner Hammond. Can I have a second?
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Menser. Does anyone have any questions or concerns? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Fournier,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Okay, general business. Item A, local preference purchasing policy and ordinance amendment. City Manager Johnston. Are we looking for a motion first before we introduce what it is?
Yes.
Okay. Could I have a motion, please, for the local preference purchasing policy?
Motion to
We've
approve
skipped 2 other
the-
items.
Sorry, general business A. Sorry, I must have clicked on the wrong one on my agenda. I'm sorry.
Local
No, we
preference is
didn't.
item C.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's
Item
general
A.
business A.
It's
A.
item A.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. It's
Not on my screen.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
is on.
Item 9A, motion to approve a local purchasing policy as presented.
Support.
okay. City Manager Johnson.
Okay, you've got 2 documents that were prepared by the city attorney. The first is the local preference purchasing policy, and the second is a revised ordinance. The recommendation that we provided will adopt the policy, acknowledge first reading of the ordinance, and schedule second reading of the ordinance for July 20th.
Excuse me. I think the motion, she's already made a motion to adopt the policy. I think you should complete that and then have someone make a motion for the ordinance amendment.
There's 2 separate issues here. We need to adopt the policy and then adopt an ordinance.
Well, that's why there's a motion that's already been made and seconded to adopt the policy. So I think I would just complete that and then have a motion to amend the ordinance as presented.
I get.
If she moved the action that was recommended, if she did both.
She didn't, though. That's what I'm saying. If the clerk would read back the motion that Commissioner Mentzer made, you'll see it only addresses the one item. Perhaps she can amend her motion to follow what you had put out.
Right, because I only said the purchasing policy. I read the first line under recommended action, approve the purchasing policy as presented. And let me stop right here. This is very confusing. I would really like to go back to where a motion is made, a motion is seconded, a description is read, we have a discussion, and then we have a vote. This resolution stuff is confusing everybody, not only the commission as shown right now, but the residents too. So that's my rant. So I will amend the motion. The motion will now be to approve the purchasing policy as presented and to approve the revised purchasing ordinance as presented. Now I need a second.
Support.
Okay, so
Okay,
now are we ready for discussion?
Yeah. So I just have one quick question of Mr. Murray. Thank you very much for writing this ordinance. You know, I've been complaining about this for a very long time. But in looking at our bills tonight, we have 2 separate bills that were awarded to out-of-state contractors for a little less or a little over 2%. The Tri-Gas company, it came out to be just a little bit over that. It's 60 cents versus 57 cents. My question is, because there are 2 bills like that tonight, you have in the ordinance 2% for Macomb County businesses, right? What did you call them? Qualified local supplier. Is there any way, or would this make this, extend this very long, Attorney Murray, that we could include something for Michigan?
Well, then you'd have to redraft the policy. And you'd have to have another, I said, you'd probably have to then have another percentage number for businesses that are not county businesses or local Mount Clemens businesses. You'd have a third category.
Is anybody else, any other commissioners, want to weigh in on that? Or do we want,
Can we diffuse? I mean, I would really like to see this get done. Can we just have even a directive to the staff that if it is, when we look at these, that if it's such a small percentage that we defer to a Michigan company? Because this will put it back then another meeting, correct? Because we'll have to rewrite it. That'll be the first.
We can't just, I don't think we can just give a directive because this is a policy. There's a current policy and a current ordinance that how is the directive and is a specific way of people, of everyone who bids, and we can't just
because it's going to be confusing as all get out. I can't wait to see what term you come up for the qualified special state supplier, maybe.
Right.
I'm fine.
Well, what I'm just looking at is we're going to give $15,000 to a company, Detroit versus versus Kansas, and then we've got another one, Detroit versus Irving, Texas. If I can probably live with the policy. I just thought if we were going to do this, let's do it right from the start, and let's include Michigan.
I'm looking at, but we're giving it to Detroit. I guess I'm confused.
Now, the policy is drafted gives a benefit to Mount Clemens businesses and to Macomb County businesses. It doesn't do anything for Wayne County or for other parts of the state.
I feel very comfortable in supporting a local ordinance, which is, I would say extensive as Macomb County. I just think that we also have to be mindful of that. We also have to be competitive in terms of bidding. And I just think if you go that far, it's still significant money. I mean, like I'm looking at these current bills like you are, Commissioner Mentzer, and I just think all those few thousands add up.
I'm comfortable with the way it is. I think that I think it's taking care of our own,
Well, the one that I'm mostly concerned with is you've got Apollo Fire Equipment in Romeo. Their total bid was $3,287. We're going to award it to a company in Springfield, Missouri. Their total bid was $2,710. You take 2% of the $3,000. Now, if my math is correct, that's $554.20. You add those together, and that takes the Springfield bid to $3,264, which is less than the bid for Apollo. So
it looks to me like
if the majority wants to ignore the Michigan one, I can live with it.
Well, and Romeo would fall under Macomb County. I mean, and it also looks like on there they're not talking about the same battery or the same thing. 40 battery.
Well, it's talking about batteries. But the
right.
Total cost, I'm looking at the column that says total cost.
I understand that, but I'm also understanding that the bid might not be apples to apples. So, Yeah,
I think if we see one that is very close on Michigan, we can do, I believe in the past, when we've seen one where we want to do a special, make an exception, if you will, to the lowest bid, because it is a state or a local, couldn't we just do that and go with this policy?
Yeah, and that's brought to you by the administration. Oftentimes we'll bring an explanation as to why they do not want to go with the lowest bidder.
Sure.
It can be for reasons of convenience, they're closer, they can service better, et cetera. But you do that on a case-by-case basis. If you put too many exceptions in here, you're going to eventually get to the point where the whole bidding process is eliminated, and you're just picking and choosing, and you really can't do that. You got a charter that is pretty clear cut. The majority of the cases, you are supposed to select the lowest bidder, and you do have that fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers, as well as the attempt to help local vendors.
Are there any other questions regarding the specifics of the ordinance? Or any of the commissioners we haven't heard from would like to make a comment? Okay, seeing or hearing none, we call a roll call, please. Kathy, you're muted.
Yes, I'm. Okay, here we go. Hammond?
Yes.
Crop?
Yes.
Menser?
Yes.
Voorhees?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Fournier?
Yes.
Very good. Moving on to agenda item 9B, Simple Adventures Contract 20 through 2022. City Manager Johnson.
Yes, that was also prepared by Community Development Director Tingley, and since he's present, I'm going to call on him to make his recommendation.
Oh, we need a motion first, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve the Simple Adventures contract for 2020 through 2022 as presented.
Very good. Okay.
Support.
Thank you.
And excuse me, Mayor, add to the motion and to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the same.
And to move to approve the Simple Adventures contract for 2020 through 2022 and to authorize the mayor and the city clerk or city manager to sign
City
this.
clerk.
City clerk
To sign this contract.
Support.
Very good. Okay. Is there, can we go ahead and have Mr. Tingley explain the contract, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. So I am recommending the city enter into this concession agreement with Simple Adventures. As Commissioner Fournier mentioned, the agreement would be for the next 3 seasons this year and the following 2. It would include a rental fee of $1,500 that would cover all 3 years. In 2019, the city applied for a grant for the reconstruction of Jones Street adjacent to MacArthur Park. In December, the city's application was among those recommended for funding by the state. However, the legislature has still not appropriated funding for the award cycle, and we do not know when this will occur in light of the impact of COVID-19 on state operations. Because of this, we're proposing a 3-year agreement to get through this season and the next 2, while construction is occurring on Jones Street in either 2021 or 2022, at which time we can then reevaluate how Simple Adventures can operate from the site. Their current arrangement is that they meet customers at MacArthur Park, shuttle them to Bud Park in Clinton Township, and the customers paddle back to MacArthur Park. And they also do some hourly rentals out of MacArthur Park. After construction of the project, we hope there's an increase in demand and they may be able to have a more permanent presence at the park as they do at Lake St. Clair Metro Park and New Baltimore. And I will add that in 2019, they did bring in approximately $2,900 in revenue for rentals related to the city. So that would be the Bud Park trip and hourly rentals, as well as they did some rentals during last year's fireworks. So last year there was a $500 rental fee, and that was about 17% of their total revenue for Mount Clemens trips. So we are keeping that $500 per year fee in place in this contract. The agreement has been reviewed by the city attorney and the contractor. And if things do change, there is a 30-day written notice that we can terminate the contract.
Thank you very much. Is there any comments or questions? Seeing or hearing none, roll call, please.
Here.
Brock,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Okay, very good. Agenda item number 9C, POS Smart Contract.
Thank you, Mayor. Public Services Director Jeff Wood is the author of this report, so I'm going to call on him to make his recommendation.
And do we need a motion first?
Yes.
Motion to
Go ahead.
I don't see it.
Motion to approve the fiscal year 2021 purchase of service contract between SMART and the City of Mount Clemens as presented, and to authorize execution of the contract by the mayor and city clerk.
Support.
Very good. Supported by Commissioner Menzer. Go ahead. Wood?
Okay, so before you is the purchase of service contract. It's a agreement that kind of outlines the operating arrangements between SMART and the Mount Clemens Dial-A-Ride, and has the SMART subsidizing the Dial-A-Ride with municipal and community credits for operating costs up to $46,165.
Very good.
Stop.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I have one question.
Hi.
Is the 46,165 comparable to prior years?
That's actually a small increase from previous years.
Okay. And who is the project manager? Are you, Mr. Wood? Who is the?
Well, I oversee SMART. There is a supervisor, Carol Dolan.
Oh, Carol is, okay.
Yeah, who oversees the operations of Dial-A-Ride.
Okay. Thank you.
And I have a question. Is you just answered Commissioner Fournier's question about the increase. Was the fare structure changed?
No, the fare structure is exactly the same as it has been years previous.
Okay. And I noted that there's a percentage in here about the no-shows. And according to the statistics that we just got last month, the no-shows, it looks like that they actually decreased quite a bit. And I'm sure that's because we don't have as many riders. But are we watching this for the 5% of total calls? Is somebody tracking that?
Yes, Carol tracks that, and we have to report all of that type of stuff. We have to report, the number of disabled persons that we transport, the no-shows, the number of passengers. We have to report all of this to SMART.
And we report that according to this, on a weekly basis?
We report that monthly.
Oh, okay. All right. It just says that the percentage of no-shows should not exceed 5% on a weekly, but that's okay. No biggie. Have we followed through on the penalties of a no-show fee of $1?
We charged, we follow through with a double fare. So if they have $1 fare, then it's obviously $2. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Does anyone have any other questions? Okay, seeing or hearing none, roll call, please.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop.
Yes. Moving on to purchases and payments of the invoices. Could I have a motion, please?
Move to approve purchases and payment of invoices as presented.
Support.
Okay, and do we have any discussion or questions? Hearing or seeing none, we will roll call, please.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes. Yes.
Okay, agenda item number 10, consent agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Move to approve consent agenda as presented.
Moved by Commissioner Campbell,
Support.
support by Commissioner Fournier. Roll call, please.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 11, city manager's report. City Manager Johnson.
Thank you. The governor has closed indoor bar service for the lower half of Michigan due to a spike in cases. This applies to any establishment with on-premise liquor licenses that earn more than 70% of their gross receipts from alcohol sales. Most restaurants are still able to continue service. Traditional nightclubs and bars will have to end their indoor services. If they have outdoor seating areas, they may continue to use them subject to reduced capacity limitations, which are basically 50%. Might also note that the governor is now allowing carryout of mixed drink cocktails, which has never been allowed under Michigan law before. So that's new. The governor did extend authorization for Zoom meetings through the end of July. If the social distancing requirements are still in place when this authorization does finally expire, we will have to relocate city commission meetings to another facility. The city commission chambers, when you actually measure it off and do the 6-foot distancing, can only accommodate 6 commissioners, 2 staff, 7 spectators, and a camera operator. Basically, the area at the front of the room, behind the low wall, we can spread the tables out instead of having them all together, and can accommodate 6 commissioners, put 2 staff in the staff area. That still leaves us 1 short of the people that are normally at the table. And there's only room in the back part of the room or the spectator seat for 7 spectators if we use 6-foot distancing. That's obviously not acceptable. We're going to have to find another location, and we're looking at options. DDA Farmers Market Shed proposal. The DDA has asked for a special meeting of the City Commission to review the Farmers Market Shed proposal and the proposed agreement with the Weber organization. We have scheduled this for July 13th at 7. It'll be a Zoom meeting. New employees. We're very excited to be welcoming Kate Bell as our 2020-2021 fellow through the Community and Economic Development Association of Michigan and their community fellowship program. We talked to you about this when we received the grant that's paying for this, so you should all be familiar with it. Kate will be working with the city on several projects throughout this time, and we look to advance our economic development initiatives. She received her Master's of Public Policy from the University of Michigan's Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy and earned her Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Politics at Mount Holyoke College. Kate's professional experience mirrors her passion for leveraging the tools of state and local governments to facilitate long-lasting and effective policymaking. Prior to joining this fellowship, she served the people of Boston, Massachusetts as a neighborhood liaison for a city councilor. And she also conducted energy policy research as a graduate intern with the National Conference of State Legislatures. She started here today. She actually started with the program basically in a training mode a couple of weeks ago. And in the manager's office, some of you have met Nicole Rachusnik, our new secretary. Actually, her job functions are focusing very heavily on making improvements to the website and social media. She's a 2018 grad from Oakland University with a double major in human resources management and marketing. Prior to this position, she worked as an HR and customer service representative at Little Caesars Arena. She has significant experience in managing social media, and she's already moved the city onto 2 new platforms, Instagram and Twitter. Telephone problems and internet problems. Department of Public Service was without internet and telephone service for over a week between June 22nd and June 30th. Our service provider, AT&T, was extremely unresponsive to numerous calls for assistance. We had to use high tech to diagnose the actual problem, which was a piece of hardware owned by AT&T. Because our telephone system is voice over IP, we do not have telephone service whenever we don't have an internet connection. Water plant. We have made more progress with the installation of the ozone generator. We are producing ozone and treating water with the system in manual mode. We still have work to do with PureFlow to get the system to where it can operate in automatic mode. This should eliminate the problems we experienced last summer with taste and smell caused by the algae bloom in the lake when the city was without an ozone system. I keep putting the notification system in here just so I can advertise it. Click here if you want to sign up. It's fully operational. We plan on promoting it on the water bills next month. Strategic planning. Almost all the city commissioners and department heads have completed the survey. We've also sent invitations to about 200 community stakeholders to participate in a parallel survey. I expect the scheduling poll will go out to city commissioners within the next week, and it will probably end up being a Zoom meeting. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to actually hold an in-person meeting yet. Then we've got the schedule of upcoming meetings, which I'd like to include in this report. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. We'll move to public participation. Sorry, I'm just looking back. Again, if you would like to speak, we'll ask for your first name. When you are allowed to speak, we ask that you give us your full name and abide and your address and abide by our 2-minute rule. Sorry. Okay, is there anyone who would like to speak during public participation?
Michael would like to speak.
Okay, so I have Michael. Is there anyone else who would like their name on the list?
Yes, I would. Louise Cole.
Okay, Louise. Is there anyone else who would like to be added to the list?
Gina.
Gina. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we'll start with Michael. Can you give us your full name, your address, and abide by our 2-minute rule?
My name is Michael Zubas. My address is 322 North Avenue, Apartment 1. But before I begin, I believe I tried to get some time earlier, and I don't know if you guys heard me. Did you guys hear me earlier?
No,
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, I'll just have to save that part for next time, I guess.
Okay, go ahead.
I wrote a section for the 3-minute part and a section for the 2-minute part. So, all right.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to start now.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I would like to add into the discussion that I will give later, the Cass Avenue. It is named after Lewis Cass, former governor, I believe. If so, we need to change it. My argument for changing the name of Cass Avenue is that he was the architect of the Trail of Tears, a forced march of indigenous people to the state of Oklahoma. Lewis Cass is said to have been instrumental in it working as the Secretary of War at the time. I propose two ideas, either rename Cass to Crocker Avenue or Clemens Avenue. Neither are an avenue right now, and Clemens Street and Clemens Avenue might not be in the same area, but would still be appropriate since Mount Clemens. I also asked the commission to work with Clinton Township to change their section of Cass Avenue to another name as well. And I will try to talk to them myself at a meeting in the future. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you for your suggestion, Mike. Moving on to Luis. Unmute yourself there, Luis.
I got to mute myself.
Okay, here we go.
There we go. Okay, can you give us your full name and your address?
Yes, it's Louise Cole. It's 1019 Harrington Street, Mount Clemens, Michigan. I just wanted to make a few comments on the decision of Mr. Johnson. I have quite a few neighbors on the right of me because I'm almost on the corner, and they would all like to see the parking. There's only 2 blocks that really are not allowed to park because that's facing the hospital. The south side of the street, as I stated, is the only side we'd like to have some parking. 3 houses down are 3 nurses that work at the hospital. Most of the people on the street are either retired or they're working in the medical profession. And they have to, they have to parking. The way these driveways are, we only have room for 2 cars at a time. And one has to back out to get the other one out. As far as a bicycle lane, I can't see where a bicycle lane is going to do much good when you're only going to have 2 blocks of it, because anything past the 2 blocks, it's all allowed parking on both sides of the street. They've redone this street so it's wide enough that one side could park. And whatever, I guess I could go around and get a signed letter from all the neighbors that want this. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next we have Gina. Go ahead, Gina. Give us your full name and your address, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Just making sure. Gina New, 51 North Highland. I just wanted to take this opportunity to let everyone at this meeting, as well as watching this meeting later, just make them aware that Neighbors Helping Neighbors is actively currently seeking nominations for properties that may be facing blight citations due to hardships. Help is out there. We are here to help. If there are properties where things like seniors, disabilities, surgeries, financial hardships, we are here to help. We are working on, we've been spending this entire quarantine trying to find ways to safely get back into action. And we feel like we're at that point now, and we are just looking for neighbors to go meet and help out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think we've covered everyone. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during public participation? In case we missed anyone. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Voorhees.
Yes, I'd like to extend my deepest sympathy to Don Johnson on the passing of his father, and of course his mother was within months of each other. We do express our deepest sympathy to him. Also, the census, make sure that you're taking the 7 to 9 minutes it takes to fill out the census form. It's very important for the city of Mount Clemens. It gives us federal money and state money, and also representation on the federal and state level. I'd like to make a comment that on Friday I received my absentee ballot. Again, remember that this ballot, you can only vote in one party or the other. But the other most important thing is the city commission race, which appears on the right-hand side. With that, once a Clemite, always a Clemite.
Very good. Thank you very much. Commissioner Menser.
I'm cautiously optimistic and excited that we finally passed the local preference ordinance. As I said earlier, it's been something that's been on my agenda for a long time. I'd like to give a shout out to Lenny Bertrand of our water department for all of the work that he's done in getting the ozone filter, up and running. Thank you very much, Lenny, and your staff for everything that you've done. I would also like to shout out, we have some incredible staff. We have staff that have worked through a lot of strange and unusual situations and not their usual jobs because of all this COVID stuff. So I think that every single staff member that we have deserves appreciation and a round of applause. The rec bowl is open. I had an unpaid furlough day today. The county is doing that. So I met a friend over at the rec bowl and had lunch out on the patio. I encourage everyone just to go back to using some of our downtown businesses that have the outside eating. Of course, people can eat inside right now, but it's out and available for you. Our businesses are open downtown. I bought some books from Paperback Writers, had a nice discussion with them. Please support local. That's what what it's all about. That's why that we live in a city like this. I'd like to give a shout out to Josh Alger for the bicycle parade. This is like the 24th annual bicycle parade in Seminole Hills. There were a lot of people there. There were a lot of kids that enjoyed the bike parade. It was a lot of fun, and it was a good hometown 4th of July event. I'd like to give a shout out to Sean Andrzejewski for putting together the fireworks display over near Olson Park. People chipped in, and we had a marvelous display. It was well done. Safety protocols were followed, and the trash was picked up by Sean and his friends. So thank you, Sean Andrzejewski. And finally, I'd like to say the library is up for a millage increase. If you have any questions about the redesign, and it is absolutely beautiful, of the Mount Clemens Public Library, please contact them. Contact Brandon Bowman, the director. I look at the library as a passport to entertainment, to knowledge, to travel. The library is a gem, and I think that we should support this millage. And that's what I have today.
Thank you. Commissioner Campbell.
I want to thank Brian and Community Development for helping to work toward a solution that will be acceptable for the neighbors on Wilson regarding their concerns on that property. And that is it. Thank you.
Commissioner Hammond.
No comments. All the previous commissioners covered everything.
Very good. Thank you. Commissioner Fournier.
Yes, I also want to thank the neighbors of 252 North Wilson for chipping in and keeping that grass cut and maintaining the property. I think that's very noble of you, and we really appreciate it, and that's what neighbors are all about. I also would like to suggest on Harrington Street, while I would love a bike lane, I would love bike paths all the way through this city. It's something that I hope we can look into in the future. But I would like to see if we could at least look at the traffic study via our traffic commission. If they could look at that, it wouldn't be a costly project. And Ms. Cole is correct, it's only a couple of blocks. So I think it just might be something we should just make sure we've done a thorough job of reviewing. With that, I hope everyone's surviving the heat, and have a great week.
Thank you. I have been getting a lot of calls about the city's donation boxes, not the city's, but the donation boxes that are around the city that are on several properties. Many of them are overflowing, and I know that community development has been working with several of the business owners, but I just wanted to mention that I've gotten a lot of calls of the last few days about that, and so I wanted to kind of put that bug in Mr. Tingley's ear. And then also wanted to mention that yesterday was the last day that fireworks were now legal to be set off on private property. And so they will be illegal again. So we're asking for everyone's cooperation. I believe the next date for the fireworks is around Labor Day. I am really encouraged by the discussion for the ice arena and the community center, but I hope that we can move that quickly. We can do a thorough job on making sure we have all the numbers correct, but that we move that quickly so that we avoid, a problem at our ice arena. I wanted to thank the Elder family as well. I was able to participate in the 4th of July parade, and I was really pleased to see so many people that came with masks and were able to, practice social distancing. So it was a nice, safe celebration, and that was great. And the Elder family did a terrific job at, organizing everything. I also want to say thank you to a little girl named Sophia, who I got to ride half of the parade with because she was separated from her family and was a little worried about being lost, but we were able to help her through, and it was a nice bike ride, and I got to hear all about her decorations on her bike, and it was very fun. If you are in need of food, the American Legion, located on Groesbeck, just south of Elizabeth, that's my son Jack in the background there, they will be giving a food giveaway on Thursday, July 9th. You can go between the hours of 11 and 1, and they will be giving out 20,000 pounds of food through Gleaners. So if you or know of anyone who is in need of food, please don't go hungry. Go to the American Legion, located on Groesbeck, on July 9th. I would love to welcome Kate Bell and Nicole Rutuznik to Mount Clemens and to the city employees. It's exciting to have some new people and to see all the work that they're going to do and bring. Nicole it's already been very evident on our social media. She's bringing kind of a fun and new, just fresh approach to it, and I think that's great. So thanks to both of them for coming on board. And with that, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Voorhees. I think that was a support by Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Fournier.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser.
Most definitely.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
So that we will say good night. Thank you, everyone. Take care.